Hey everyone, and welcome to another video. So today we're doing the second update for the LG Soundbar repair. So this is the repair that was going through on my SN11RG Soundbar. If you've watched the previous video, then you kind of know what's going on. If not, I'll put a card in the top right just so then you can catch up on the previous details, but I'll give you a quick rundown. So previously I've had an issue with the subwoofer making a popping sound on my LG Soundbar. It is actually still behind me because well, we'll get to that in the video anyway. And there was also another sort of software glitch where occasionally whenever you booted the soundbar or anything up, there'd be no audio. So I sent it back to them, got it back from them. The issues, both of them, are still there. And on top of that, they've basically damaged the soundbar, almost every part of the soundbar. So the soundbar itself, the rear speakers, subwoofer was the only one that kind of came unscathed, but even that had a few little marks and scratches on it as well. So fast forward, I had a conversation with the support team, it got escalated to the team leader. Team leader suggested that I send in details, so I did do that. So I got an email from them, so it was on the 25th of August, and I sent the email straight back to them within probably, I'd say, maybe half an hour. And back on the 25th of August, once again, I got a response from them via email. So they basically confirmed that they have received all of the photos showing all of the damage. They confirmed that they didn't need any video evidence, anything like that. The photos themselves were sufficient. And on the email itself, it stated that I would either get an email or a phone call response within 2 to 3 working days. Now, bear in mind that this is essentially a complaint case. It's already been going on for the best part of, I'd say, maybe a month and a half at this stage. I waited 2 to 3 days. Obviously, it was over a bank holiday weekend, so I gave them the extra day because of the bank holiday, but they did mention when I did call them that they do actually operate on Saturdays as well. So theoretically, I should have included the Saturday. I didn't, but I still gave them 3 working days. Didn't receive no phone call, so I actually contacted them. Initially, when I got through to them on the phone, the person I got through to was literally just trying to take everybody's details and get them off the phone. When I explained that this is for an existing escalation case, he put me through to the team leader, and I ended up getting transferred through to, I believe it's the same person I was speaking to previously. He basically confirmed that having waited the best part of 5 to 6 days, he still wanted me to send the whole unit in. Basically, his admin team wouldn't authorize the repair or the replacement, sorry. So they have a policy of right to repair, and as part of this right to repair program, they can request it up to 2 times in order to try and resolve the fault. I explained that it now has additional issues, which I'll detail a little later in the video. And I also explained that some of these components look like they may have actually been damaged. So I'm talking about the speaker components. So the solution that the team leader was trying to put forward was that they take everything back again, and at that point they will then try and fix the original problems, the 2 original problems. They'll change all of the outer casings and put these components within replacement casings. The only issue with that is if the speakers are also damaged, then they're replacing the speakers as well. This is what I tried to explain to them, that at this stage you're replacing the speakers and the components that the actual casings, so you've basically replaced the whole thing. At this stage I tried to explain to them that it's actually a lot more beneficial for them to just replace the whole unit, and then they can take this and do whatever they want with this, sell this as a refurb unit or whatever they want to do. But they weren't having it, so they insisted that I actually send the whole unit in for repair again. And they have booked it in. So it's booked in for Monday the 5th of September between 7 AM and 9 PM. Once again with Arrow XL. So Arrow XL, I didn't name them the first one, the first few videos that I made, but Arrow XL are the company that were actually handling the collection and delivery. This time I've basically requested anybody that's home at the time to actually make a video of them collecting it. Obviously I got a lot of footage, as you will have seen from my previous video, but that was all outside the house, so you can't actually see what they did with it inside the house. Now I know from my wife telling me that basically they didn't wrap anything, so they had a box that wasn't quite big enough for the soundbar. They've just dropped the components in there on top of some foam, and then they've taken the box outside on my driveway and they've literally just wrapped it up. None of the components were wrapped individually and none of the components were secured. The box itself, as I mentioned, isn't big enough, so the subwoofer was literally being sellotaped into the box. So that's probably the only component that would have actually stayed still, but the rest of the components basically were bouncing around within the box, hence where the actual damage has come from. So the update at this stage is the fact that Monday the 5th of September it's going to get collected again. They've once again quoted the same turnaround period, so up to 14 days, and I believe that may even be 14 working days as well. We will wait and see. So obviously all of these videos are scheduled way in the future anyway, so you're not going to be seeing these until a lot more has actually happened. So hopefully by the time you guys actually start to see these videos, I might actually have a resolution video, but I've not got my hopes very high with regards to this, because essentially they're doing the same thing. They're picking up components that they've damaged, and they're via the same courier, they're going to take it back and they're going to attempt to do the same fix which previously they've got 0 notes for. The only thing that they could tell me is that the subwoofer was replaced, but bearing in mind that the subwoofer is still doing the same fault, not to the same extent, but the popping sound is still there. It doesn't have any other notes as to what they actually did. It doesn't look like they did anything with regards to the no sound issue, and obviously the additional issues that I'll highlight with inserts, nothing's been done for those either. So there's currently about 4 different issues that they've got to resolve, as well as the cosmetic issue with the speakers and any potential damage that they've actually caused to the speakers during this whole repair process. As I mentioned in the last video, this whole process is a mess. If this series of videos does anything, I hope that this gets the message out there to LG that this is not how you deal with customers. Every other company that I've dealt with, generally you have one sort of contact. You don't have to jump through hoops, speaking to many different departments, many different people, with condescending tone in a lot of those instances, and still have to jump through all of these hoops in terms of sending it back, despite the fact that your process has actually damaged the components far more than what the original fault was, without actually resolving the original fault. So hopefully, if it does anything, I'm hoping it highlights to LG that this process doesn't work and that they need to rethink this. I would have actually been happy to drop this off into a local retailer store or something if that was an option, just to save it getting damaged, because that way you could have cut out that middleman, the actual courier. But the process they have in place is that they collect it and then they drop it back off again. As soon as that happens, obviously they're taking liability for everything, so that's where it then becomes a problem if they then continually use that same company despite the fact that they've had reports of damage being inflicted by the process that they're following. I have been told that they're going to bring new packaging, so we will wait and see what packaging they actually bring this time. I actually made a point of stating to the person I spoke to make sure that they actually have the correct dimensions for the soundbar, so they can bring a box that is actually big enough. Once again, we'll have to wait and see what happens with regards to that. So for the rest of this video, what I'm going to do is I'm going to insert some of the new sort of issues that have cropped up, one of the original ones as well as a newer one. I almost caught the 4th issue, so the 4th issue, I'll quickly run through it. So the first one was the popping subwoofer. The second one is the fact that the sound basically doesn't work the first time you boot it up. You have to turn it off, turn it back on, and then it'll work. The third issue is it's sort of a software glitch, so it's similar to the no sound issue, but even when the sound returns, it's not working on every single app. So occasionally, depending on the content that you're playing, it's doing a handshake. By handshake, what I mean is when it's trying to change either the HDR format of the input signal, or it's trying to change the resolution. Now, I know for a fact that the YouTube app on Apple TV doesn't do varied frame rate or HDR support, so basically it won't change from, say, 4K 60 down to 4K 24 or 4K 30, or it won't go from SDR to HDR. So there's no reason for it to be doing a handshake in between every sort of advert and the start of a video, and yet it is. And the 4th issue is on the rear speakers. When I first plugged it in, it was there was like a ticking sound that I kind of got rid of just by killing the power, turning it back on again. And since then, whenever I just leave them on, so unless I turn the rear speakers off at the wall, what tends to happen is when I turn the Apple TV on and I scroll through the UI, the rear speakers sometimes sound like they're underwater. And this is similar, I've experienced this in content as well. I've experienced this during a movie where the rear speakers were really garbled. The sound just sounded like they're underwater. And same thing again, if you kill the power to them and put it back on again, then it seems to have basically refresh the signal and it'll fix the problem. But none of these four issues, well, the latter two weren't there to start with. The first two obviously were there, but they've exacerbated it by creating damage to the actual speakers and the casings at least, and potentially to the speakers themselves as well. So yeah, the video's already getting pretty long, so I'll cut it at that. I'll insert the clips of the issues, and I'll also insert any clips that I have for the collection if it's done by the time I actually upload this video. Okay, so just booted everything up. So as you can see, Apple TV via soundbar into the projector. We're moving and there is no audio, so we'll just turn it up. So the soundbar is actually on 20. I'll turn that down a bit because that's a little high. So no audio, no sound or anything playing. If we just come into YouTube and I just click on any video, so what will happen is the playback won't actually start because it's unable to play the audio. So it'll literally just stay on this spinning wheel. As you can see, this is not a buffering issue. This is literally because the soundbar isn't passing audio. So what we'll do now is we'll go to the home screen and I'm just going to power everything off. So soundbar is saying goodbye, projector's off, and that's the Apple TV that's just gone off. So now we will power everything back up again. So Apple TV's on, soundbar's on, projector's on. The image is going to look kind of red to you on screen. It doesn't actually appear like that. It's just something that happens with ultra short throw projectors for some reason. What I'm looking at is literally just a black grey kind of screen. Okay, and once again, this is another issue, so it doesn't actually go to HDMI 1, even though I booted it up in HDMI 1, but I can hit that. It will switch to HDMI 1, just there, and eventually it will say signal received and it will come up. Now, notice how there's audio. So if I come back to the YouTube app, that video that wasn't playing is now playing.
Hey everybody, well.
So that's the startup issue. Now I did just hear sometimes I caught it just before I actually went into the app, where the rear speakers, whenever you're moving between icons, actually sound almost like they're underwater. But as you can see, that's the issue that the soundbars had for quite a while. Even after sending it back, that didn't rectify it. So this is all going back again. So we'll wait and see what happens this time around. But that is the issue. I wanted to actually catch it on video. I didn't catch the initial boot up. I only thought about that once I'd actually turned it on. But this is pretty much happening every time now. So every single time I turn the setup on, I then have to turn it all off again, turn it back on a second time, and then the audio will work for everything. So yeah. Okay, so here's the second issue now. This is almost like a handshake issue. So I didn't catch the handshake part itself, but as you saw, the YouTube video was playing previously. Once I've gone out of that video and I've come into another one, so just going into this video here, what will happen is it tries to start up, but it's not actually working. So no matter what I do, it won't actually play back properly. Hitting play pause, it doesn't seem to want to do anything. Now, previously, if I go back to the home screen, as you can see, it's doing a handshake. Now, there shouldn't be a handshake from the YouTube app because the YouTube app just plays back through whatever resolution or HDR format you've got selected. So if I just go back in again now, and it's still on the same video, and we hit play, as you can see, it is now ticking over. So if we scroll forward and we skip forward, in theory it should actually start working now, but it's doing an extra handshake on the YouTube app, which it's never previously needed to and never previously done. But yeah, it's still not working. Let's see if it does it again. Yeah, so as I quit out of it, it's doing a handshake. By a handshake, what I mean is the black screen that you get is when the projector changes resolution because of the source device. So
book your Universal Orlando Resort holiday with Tumi. I'll protect it.
So now the YouTube advert's played, but yeah, what's it doing? Like that second advert is kind of glitched out on. Same thing again. This is a handshake that it's doing at the moment, which it's not supposed to be doing. 1 minute 41 into the video, and it's not playing. Go to the home screen. Once again, it's a handshake. The Apple TV interface is not this slow. When you hit home, there's an actual animation where it shrinks down. Just in the same way as it came up, that's what it actually does when you close it as well. Yeah, this is what's been happening since I've got the soundbar back. None of these faults with this scenario anyway was there previously. The startup no sound issue, that's been there from before, and that's got worse. This issue wasn't there before, but is now there. So yeah, the so-called LG repair program, for me personally, it has caused nothing but problems, and it's made every scenario worse than it was previously. I will have more update videos coming on this issue, so if you haven't already done so, please do subscribe, hit the notification bell, and I'd really appreciate if you also like this video. And until the next one, thanks very much for watching.